Hello, I'm Bjorn, movie archaeologist, and welcome back to the Temple of Movie Reviews. And today I've got a very special treat for y'all, because I saw Captain America, Brave New World. Yeah, let's talk about this one. So a little perfunctory look into this film revealed a couple things. It is getting shredded, and having seen the movie, I kind of get it, guys. This is I kind of think maybe people are going a little hard on this one, but this is about as mediocre as films go. This is like the most boring, safe, underwhelming movie I've ever seen. It's so meh. I don't know. I'm barely even able to talk about this thing. A couple of things to get out of the way. I don't actually recommend this movie. And the reason I don't recommend it is because it's very boring. It's meandering, and its script, it's awful. The directing, terrible. The editing, somehow bad. How does Marvel mess up editing, dude? How does that even happen? There's all kinds of weird edits all throughout this movie. Very weird choices. The whole thing is just very weird. And, you know, it's a shame because there's some cool ideas in here. I always say that about movies, but I feel like this one especially. The villain, there is an interesting concept there. I think they pointed it in the wrong direction, and you know, they loaded it with like, they loaded their gun of idea here with like some dirt. They like stuck it in the mud and they fired it and it misfired. But, you know, there is something there that's still a Smith & Wesson at some point that could have fired a really effective bullet of entertainment. Yeah, they didn't. Sidewinder. Let's talk about Sidewinder, who's not really the villain of this movie, by the way. Spoilers, I guess. You don't care. I don't care. He is terrible in this movie. He does nothing. I mean, he's maybe kind of cool, I guess. Giancarlo Esposito is cool. But this villain does nothing. He's in the movie for maybe 7 minutes. All of those 7 minutes were clearly reshoots. And then he disappears from the film. Yeah, it is so underwhelming. The fact that they used him so much in the marketing is hilarious to me. And also, he just feels out of place. He doesn't need to be in this movie for the plot to function. In fact, the plot of this movie is all over the fucking place. It goes nowhere fast, but also there's way too much happening, and everyone does nonsensical stuff, and who am I kidding? I'm gonna get into spoilers, but before I do, let me talk about the last couple points I actually have to say about this movie. Number one, Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford, surprising no one, they're both actually very good. In fact, a lot of my problems I had with Falcon in that terrible Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show, which I was not a fan of at all, a lot of his characterization from that show has been fixed. He reminds me a lot more of his Captain America, Winter Soldier Falcon vibe. And in fact, I actually think a lot of his arc in this movie is pretty good. They're grappling with more relevant, to me, problems to the Falcon character. The idea of him living up to the legacy of Captain America, and can he ever be like Steve Rogers? And I think he comes to the logical answer to that, which, I mean, I guess mild spoilers, is no, but he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to be Captain America. He needs to be something else, which is why I think it is unbelievably stupid that they have him being called Captain America. He shouldn't be Captain America. In fact, his whole arc should be him, and this is what should have been in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, should have been him realizing that he isn't Captain America, that he can carry the shield and he can do all that, but he isn't Captain America, he's the Falcon. Because Captain America is Steve Rogers, and that's even like what he admits that in this movie, and it's just, I don't know, it always felt weird to me that he was Captain America. It just doesn't, I don't know, it just feels weird. He should be the Falcon. And speaking of the Falcon, I'm going to talk about one more thing in the non-spoiler section here. The new Falcon kind of irritated me. He wasn't that bad. Like, I saw a lot of reviews talking about him like he was the worst thing that ever happened. I don't remember him being this irritating or annoying in the TV show. So I don't know what happened here. He gets better at the end. In fact, I really like his last scene in this movie, but I found him kind of grating. I don't know what happened there, guys. Maybe let's work on that. Alright. We're going to get into the spoilers now. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. Okay, so the plot of this movie is that this movie is the Hulk 2. You've got the leader, I think is what he is, a big brain guy from the first Incredible Hulk movie. You've got Thunderbolt Ross, obviously, from the Incredible Hulk movie. He turns into a Hulk, a Red Hulk, obviously. What do any of these things have to do with Captain America? Nothing. There's speculation online that this film may have been intended to be an Incredible Hulk sequel that just didn't wind up working out, and they're like, fuck it, who do we got? We got Captain America, stick him in there! And it's very clear, because it feels like there's two movies in here going to war with each other. There's this Serpent Society, we'll call it a short film, and then there's this Red Hulk storyline involving all the old stuff, and then there's this like government infiltration storyline, which feels like it's a weird bastard between the two other storylines, and none of them really work, except for, I would argue, the Red Hulk storyline kind of works, except at the end, because Captain America, who has no superpowers, should be pavement smear after fighting Red Hulk, and the fact that he isn't is hilarious and stupid. I don't know. Yeah, I will give this movie some credit. It doesn't get political in an annoying way. I found Falcon and the Winter Soldier to be political in an annoying way. Whether you agree with the politics or not, its execution was so just bad that you're just watching it like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like, I don't even mind politics in my movie. I love Winter Soldier. I love all this other shit. I'm actually a fan of the Watchmen show. That's really controversial. I'm one of those people who really likes that show, and some people hate it. Whatever. There's all this like right wing versus left wing politics online, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier is sort of caught in the crosshair. I kind of agree with both sides on that movie or on that show. It just feels annoying. The film is written by idiots who don't know what they're talking about, and they have nothing to say about politics. This movie, luckily, it doesn't even try to play in politics, and arguably that actually kind of hurts it a little bit, because this movie is so toothless. There's no bark, there's no bite. Winter Soldier had a bite to it. It had some commentary to make. It was kind of violent in a really interesting way. This movie is not violent like that at all. I think it thinks it is. I think it thinks it's gritty. It's not gritty. And no offense, Sam Wilson, Falcon, is not a gritty character. And I don't think he can do gritty. I don't even think they try to make him gritty in this, but the fact that he's in a gritty-ish plot, like a spy thriller, Falcon doesn't work in that setting. It doesn't work. Straight up doesn't work in this movie. I don't know what it is about it that doesn't work. It just does not work. He plays much better as the sort of fun side character or in a more campy story. This is not it. This movie is like a weird mix of campy. You've got political assassinations and like all this shit, and then you've got, you know, the leader with the big brain, and he's like, I have used flashing lights to mind control humanity. And you've got really stupid shit in here, like two fighter pilots take control of a fighter jet and attack the Japanese Navy. And the U.S. military's like, what do we do? Our fighter pilots have gone out of control. And Falcon's like, don't worry, I'll stop them. And like, there's this whole 15-minute action sequence as these fucking fighter jets are absolutely bombing both the Japanese fighter carriers about to cause a war and the United States carriers. They're launching missiles everywhere, and Falcon's barely stopping them. And the whole time I was like this. That's fucking stupid. Because, as I said about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I don't know that these people writing this are smart. I know that's mean. That's a really mean thing to say, but there are things that are in this script that I'm like, only a stupid person would write that, or someone who just did not give a shit. And we'll get to the writing in a second. We're going to put a pin in that. This is a long review, sorry guys. Classic long Bjorn review. Now, what would happen in real life? 10 seconds after those fighter jets went off airspace and attacked the Japanese fighter pilots, when they knew there was mind control happening, they would have either A, disabled the craft remotely. I want to say that the United States military can do that with their fighter jets, remotely turn them off or something. And if not, there would have been 5 or 6 surface-to-air missiles immediately shooting down those fighter pilots. That action scene did not need to happen. But whatever. You know, it's a movie. We need Falcon to fight someone. That's fine. But it's fucking stupid. And it immediately pulls you out of the movie, because anyone with a brain cell, anyone with one single brain cell would have immediately picked up on that. One thing I kind of appreciate about this movie is it's trying to tie up some of those loose ends in the MCU. A lot of them just don't feel like they belong in a Captain America movie. I just don't think these Hulk characters belong in a Captain America movie. Frankly, I don't think Red Hulk belongs in a Captain America movie. It seems much more logical to use, Thunderbolt Ross in a, I don't know, What franchise could we use Thunderbolt Ross in? Oh, God. If only there was a franchise that someone like Thunderbolt Ross would be very good in, that they're actively making right now. No, I can't think of anything. We might as well just stick him in the Captain America movie. Joking aside, it's very weird that Thunderbolt Ross is in, the Thunderbolts. He's involved in a lot of their comics. I would know. So, just a weird choice. Just a weird choice. Which sort of seems to be the thing with this movie. The idea of using the celestial hand from the fucking Eternals as a plot point in this movie is interesting. The way they're using it is actually kind of cool. In fact, that should have been the movie. And it should not have been a fucking Captain America movie. This should have been the plot for the Thunderbolts, in my opinion. You've got this celestial island, and it's full of this new magic material, adamantium, which I'm not going to touch that. We're not going to get into that. And they're all fighting to get control of it, right? And the United States military is actively competing with the Japanese and the Indian military, apparently. Very odd. And they all want adamantium. Which seems like a Thunderbolts plot, right? Something you send in the Black Ops people. And they barely even focus on this island. It's more of just set up for this mind control revenge plot, which I don't think works. And I think there's a much funner way you could have played this, right? I think the problem with this movie is that it's toothless. As I said, there's no bite to it. There's no commentary. Like, Winter Soldier has commentary, right? I think, and this is just me, walked out of the theater, my immediate thoughts are, the mind control thing should not have been focused on mind controlling military people and, guys with guns. It's, the most surface level mind control thing. You got mind control. I'll mind control some guys with guns to kill someone for me. You could do that in the movie, sure, but, think about this. Instead of trying to get revenge on Ross, the leader is trying to literally take control of the United States government, to literally dismantle the thing that Ross, even in this movie, says he fought everything for. What better revenge is there than to take it from him and watch him, and let him watch you literally ruin it before his very eyes? And how would he do that? He would use his mind control powers to just spread fake news. You make fake international incidents, cause political drama and upheaval. The guy can literally see the future, basically. I think it'd be much more interesting to have someone who can see the probabilities of outcomes, playing to algorithms and playing to what sells to try to make himself the president. Using his mind control powers to make his opponents do something wrong, spread misinformation everywhere. And your commentary can be something like, as I've said with politics, you want to attack surface level politics, you don't want to get specific. And I think fake news being bad and the media being manipulative is something that's not even contentious. That's just something everyone just acknowledges as a fact. No one's gonna argue hey, no man, the news media, they're always telling me the truth. How dare you? This is, as a Democrat or a Republican, I'm offended by this. Now, both sides openly admit the media is just complete horseshit. So, I think you could make a, commentary, and there you have a little bite, you're saying something. The plot's more interesting. The stakes are higher, but also personal. And, who better, much like Captain America Winter Soldier, who better to save America when an evil organization or someone with evil intent is trying to take it over and using, modern day politics to do it than Captain America, who stands up for the American value. He sees through the lies and puts a stop to it and shows the American people the truth. And there's going to be a lesson in it, maybe we shouldn't just blindly follow the word of the media. I don't know. This is very, very rough. But even this, it's I feel like it's better than what we got, which was just a muddled mess. Went nowhere. And the plot is super contrived. This guy had to have seen the future to come up with all this. There's literally no other, the writers were and he's so genius. He's like Zemo. He's making all these plans. It's but wait a minute. How would you know any of this was going to happen unless, and then they're oh, you see the future. It's the only way to possibly explain how he could be doing this stuff and knowing what would happen. And they don't go far enough with that. They don't, there's a sequence where Sidewinder's he said there was an 85% probability that you would do this, this, and this. And I think that's all really cool. Except he uses it that one time and then never again. He goes, "Oh, Captain America, you foiled my plans." How did Captain America foil your plans? How is that even possible? You can see the fucking future. You knew the statistics on this, right? You should have had backups upon backups upon backups. There's no way he loses. And I guess you'd argue he ultimately won in the end or whatever, maybe. I don't know. Very lame. Okay, that's it. I'm not talking about this fucking movie anymore. The after credit scene was lame. Winter Soldier is in this for a second. That was a fun scene, I guess. New Falcon eats shit and crashes. I didn't talk about Isaiah Bradley. He's better in this. I didn't hate him in the original Falcon the Winter Soldier show. I felt like some of his stuff was a little heavy-handed, but I feel like his execution in this is much better. The actor playing him is great. Guy really sells his scenes, like more than any other actor in this movie. Also, barely talked about Ross. Ross is sort of the co-lead in this. Harrison Ford is also really good. His dialogue is just really bad. And no one in this behaves a normal way. Also, whoever wrote this doesn't understand politics, like even a little bit. I think that's pretty clear from watching the fucking movie. Whoever wrote this knows zippity zoodah about how politics works, because it's all ridiculous. It's so stupid. It is, like, hilarious. And I guess now this is a good segue to talk about the writing. I mentioned the editing being bad. It is. But the writing, it's awful. Genuinely awful. And so the first thing I did when I got home, I sat down on my computer, I typed, and I looked up who the writer was. I was like, oh, who wrote this? Oh, whose? Writers. Yeah, 7. 7 writers. 2 of them are actors that appear in the film. That's always a bad idea, unless they're good writers. And who's the director, you might ask? The lead writer and the director. Well, let me tell you. It's the guy who made the Cloverfield Paradox. Why do we keep hiring these people? So you make a movie like The Cloverfield Paradox, which for those who haven't seen it, is genuinely terrible. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. You make something like that, your name is mud, in my opinion. You shouldn't be able to make a movie ever again. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking terrible. It's terrible. Horrible. Why a $200 million flagship franchise lead? Who is making these decisions? Feige, what the hell, man? You used to cast, like, really talented writers. You used to pull people that were, they had something. And he also cast Patton Reed, but we're not going to talk about him. But now everyone's a Patton Reed. All of these writers you're hiring are buffoons. They're buffoons. No offense, guy who wrote the Cloverfield Paradox. I'm sure you're a nice person in real life. I'm sure you're a great guy. You wrote the Cloverfield Paradox, man. Josh Trank wrote Van Forstick, and he's dead. His career is gone. It's over. It's done. As it should be. As it should be. So, Hollywood, this is me, Bjorn, giving you a direct, open invitation to please stop fucking reusing these terrible writers. I'm looking at you, Raph, the guy who wrote Uncharted, one of the worst movies ever. Not really that bad, but super terrible adaptation of its source material. Who was then hired to the Wheel of Time show, and then ruined it, and is now on God of War, apparently. They've just, keep hiring him. Patton Reed makes nothing but trash. I'm sorry, all of the movies I've ever seen him make are terrible. He keeps making these Ant-Man movies, and they keep getting worse. And they had Edgar Wright. And they wouldn't let him have some creative control. They wanted to shove fucking Falcon in that movie so bad, they fired Edgar Wright over it, from what I understand. That's what I've always heard. So yeah, Marvel, take a lesson. Sit down. DC finally got this through their thick skull, and they hired James Gunn. This is your chance. Stop it. You've got some talent that's floating around there. You got Sam Raimi on board. I know some people didn't like Multiverse of Madness. I think that was marketing. I actually love that movie. You've got this guy. Oh my god, what's his name? The guy who's done all the Spider-Man movies. Oh my god. Oh, I can't remember his name. Whatever. That guy is great. Yeah, so just keep these guys on. Get rid of Patton Reed. Get rid of the name. I can't even remember his name. The guy who wrote Cloverfield Paradox, who wrote this fucking movie and directed it. Stop it. They might be $5 million cheaper. Who gives a shit? You're spending so much money on this movie, and it looks awful because you're hiring people who don't know how to use money. Get experienced, slightly more expensive directors and writers, and pay them, damn it, because it's going to make you more money in the long run. It's so obvious. And also, film on location. The green screens in this movie look terrible. Every single green screen I saw, it looked awful. And this should have been better than it was. There was potential here. This wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. But, it's just so boring. And I get this is a holdover from before they decided to restructure Marvel. I sure hope that they are better going forward. I think the Thunderbolts might also be a holdover, so I'm not really holding my breath on that. That'll be interesting because I wrote my own version of the Thunderbolts scripts video here somewhere up here if you want to check that out. So it'll be interesting to compare my script to theirs and see what happens there. I'll be fair with that. But anyway, I think hopefully the Fantastic Four is good. If it's not, I'll probably watch the Avengers movie. I'm a cape shit YouTuber basically. But we're done, Marvel. This was bad. This was not good. This is a very generic movie. You should have done better. The fact that you hired these writers is making me angry. That's why I've talked for 15 fucking minutes on this whole thing. End of rant. Marvel, be better. Please. You own so many good characters. You've got so much going on. You lost James Gunn, arguably your best talent. You've managed to get the Russo brothers back for Avengers. Very good job. Those are good writers. You see how you hire good writers and you keep good writers. It's a bold concept, I know. But going forward, fix your crap. I'm giving Falcon and the Falcon Soldier, Captain America, New World Order, no, Serpent Society, no, Brave New World. Sorry, they changed the name of this thing so many times. I'm going to give this a 5.5 out of 10. It's super generic, middle-of-the-road movie. You're not missing much if you miss this one. Wait for it on streaming. Don't give Marvel your money. Pay with your wallet. I'm Bjorn. I will see you in the next one. Check out another video from me. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.